New this morning, we have a level 2 risk for severe storms from the Triangle area southward. I'll show you when the storms will start, where you are, and what to expect.
The Wake County Sheriff's Office is looking to fill more than 80 job positions to ensure public safety. Coming up, how you can secure your job interview today.
And Caitlin Clark made her WNBA debut last night. We'll hear her open up a bit about her slight struggle during her first game of her professional career. We'll get to that first in just a bit. But first, we want to say thank you for joining us this morning on WRAL News on Fox 50. I'm Chris Lovington.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Thanks for joining us. Halfway through the week, we have made it.
We have made it.
It is a WRAL Weather Alert Day, though. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center tracking the showers, where they are now and when we're going to see them later on.
We'll start with Dual Doppler 5000 radar. And we've had a band of showers and thunderstorms back across parts of the Piedmont. As that's been creeping eastward, a lot of that's been fizzling out. But just now, in the last 10-15 minutes, we've had a tiny little cell pop up over Cumberland County right through Fayetteville. There may be a little bit of lightning with that. I mean, it's a tiny little thing. We'll zoom in on that coming up in just a second. Well, you can see it down here at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Just tiny little cell. That's going to produce some really brief, heavy rain. And we've had another one that's been trying to sneak here into Moore County. It's just a tiny little thing. So we could see 1 or 2 of those this morning. An isolated shower, even an isolated thunderstorm. But our better chance for severe storms will happen mid to late afternoon and continue through dinner time and into the evening, maybe all the way until midnight before we start to see that tapering off. Here's what's happening. We have a warm front that is lifting northward across our area, and that's going to put us into an area that is more conducive to the thunderstorms developing. So that's why we have this level 2 risk here. Wind damage would be the biggest threat, but isolated tornadoes are not out of the question. We move through, and you can see a few isolated showers popping up between now and lunchtime, but right around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that's where we'll have the best chance for those scattered storms. Notice how that continues overnight, all the way at least until midnight. So again, mid-afternoon on into, say, 10 or 11 o'clock, maybe even close to midnight is when we'll have the best chance. We have a deck of low cloud cover out there right now. That's really kept us socked in this morning of a northwest flow, 62 degrees currently. We'll maybe see a few breaks in the clouds around lunchtime with a high temperature near 80 degrees, and then those storms develop mid to late afternoon. Ken?
At 8:02, Elizabeth, all new in the WRAL Traffic Center. We just got reports of a crash that happened just in the last 10 minutes or so on Millbrook Road in the eastbound lanes at Six Forks Road. It just happened. Right now, we're not seeing any delays in that intersection as well on Millbrook Road, but definitely watch for some police activity in that area. We've been monitoring a crash here on Capitol Boulevard. As you can see, it's clear, but you can see the lingering delays right there on Capitol Boulevard. Again, if you are in a rush, you want to take Skycrest, New Hope Road to Skycrest, and that'll get you around the slowdown that we're seeing. We just showed you that backup on our sensors on the south side of the Beltline. Well, this is what it looks like. These are the westbound lanes there on Lake Wheeler Road from this camera. The westbound lanes moving very slowly this morning. The north side of the Beltline, similar thing that's happening. This is I-440 at Ridge Road this morning. Definitely, if this is part of your morning commute, give yourself some extra time. As always, you can listen to us on the radio at 99.3 FM in Raleigh and 96.5 FM in Durham.
This morning, a person is in custody after a chase that ended in a crash. That chase ended when the car overturned on Rock Quarry Road. WRAL's Nick Perlin was there in the breaking news tracker talking with police about how this started.
A police chase ended in this car you see right here behind me flipping over on the side of Rock Quarry Road near Ruby Drive in Raleigh. This happened at around 2 this morning. I do want to show you this video from the WRAL breaking news tracker. You're going to see this car overturned and badly damaged. This started in Garner, and I'm told by Garner police they chased this car because of a traffic violation. They ended their chase, and then the Wake County Sheriff's Office continued it. At some point, the driver drove off the road. Only one car was involved in this crash. Police tell me one person was also taken into custody. I'm still trying to learn if anybody was hurt in this crash. In Raleigh, Nick Perlin, WRAL News.
Today, the Wake County Sheriff's Office is planning to address staffing shortages. They're holding a career fair to fill much-needed positions to ensure public safety. And WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is outside the Wake County Detention Center this morning. Kelsey, the career fair focusing on detention officers and nurses. How many are needed?
Michelle, there's actually quite a few needed, more than 80 positions. That's what the sheriff's office is trying to fill right now. And that career fair should be starting any minute now. So the sheriff's office is looking to fill 78 detention officer vacancies and 13 registered nurses vacancies. Sheriff Willie Rowe says they assess their staffing levels every 90 days. He says right now, current staff is working overtime to meet demand.
Well, anytime that you're short, that's always a concern that staff could be overworked, and then it can impact the performance on the job as well as things at home.
The sheriff's office is offering $5,000 signing bonuses and $1,000 referral bonuses for these positions. And that career fair is supposed to start any minute. It started at 8 o'clock, so we'll be sure to keep you updated. And if you come, be sure to bring your ID and your resume. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
The general election matchups for some key races in North Carolina are set. The Republican candidates for lieutenant governor, auditor, and the 13th congressional district were decided in yesterday's runoff election.
Race, Dave Bolick secured the Republican nomination. He edged out his opponent, Jack Clark, with a little more than 53% of the vote. Bolick will face Democratic candidate Jessica Holmes in a general election in November.
Brad Knott secured the nomination in the 13th congressional district. He earned more than 90% of the vote over Kelly Daughtry. She withdrew from the race before the vote. And Knott will square off with Democratic candidate Frank Pierce in the upcoming November election. And Hal Weatherman earned the Republican nomination for lieutenant governor. He earned nearly 3/4 of the vote in his runoff against Jim O'Neill. Weatherman will face Democratic nominee Rachel Hunt in November's election. Today, the UNC Board of Trustees will gather for the first day of their 2-day May meetings. It comes 2 days after they held a special meeting and voted to revoke funding for diversity, equity, and inclusion programming. Board committees will meet today to discuss business. At tomorrow's full board meeting, we'll hear comments from Interim Chancellor Lee Roberts. Today's meeting gets started at 12:30 this afternoon.
A lot of excitement for the WNBA season opener. A sold-out crowd was in Connecticut to see Caitlin Clark's debut with the Indiana Fever, and Clark led her team in scoring with 20 points. She also struggled a bit, though, and her team lost the game 92-71. And coming up in less than 10 minutes, we'll have Clark's reaction to her first WNBA regular season game.
Former President Donald Trump's lawyers will continue to cross-examine his former attorney, Michael Cohen, when the hush money trial resumes tomorrow. When Cohen took the stand yesterday, Trump's lawyers focused on comments Cohen made about Trump on TikTok and his media appearances. Cohen also told jurors that he repeatedly lied about hush money payments made to adult film star Stormy Daniels in order to protect Trump. Courtroom reporters say that Cohen remained calm and measured throughout the entire questioning.
NC State is challenging a decision to allow outsiders to investigate Poe Hall. Earlier this month, a judge ruled in favor of an NC State alum battling leukemia who petitioned the court to gain access to Poe Hall and depose university leaders. Last year, the university closed the building after several reports of cancer and testing that revealed high levels of toxic chemicals. If granted, the appeal could derail attempts to independently investigate Poe Hall, which some workers and alumni now believe may have caused their cancers or other illnesses.
TikTok creators are suing the U.S. government. Why the group of content creators say the potential ban is unconstitutionally overboard.
Plus, as summer approaches, more people will likely go swimming, and you might want to consider a warning about an increase of drownings before you swim. We'll explain what some researchers are doing about it.
And new this morning, we have a level 2 risk for severe storms from the Triangle area southward coming up. I'll walk you through the timeline for the storms later this afternoon and show you what to expect. New this morning, we have a level 2 risk for severe storms across most of the viewing area. The Storm Prediction Center upgraded that for us early this morning. Still the level 1 risk in our northern counties. Let's talk about what's happening out there right now. We're expecting the potential for scattered storms that could be strong to severe, starting around the middle of the afternoon, continuing up until potentially midnight. Damaging winds and large hail would be some of our bigger threats. Isolated tornadoes are a possibility with this. If you remember, yesterday in our southern counties, we did have some tornado warnings. We ended up with with some straight line winds in our southern counties, but we didn't have any tornado damage, fortunately. We're going to see this level 2 risk from the Triangle area southward. Here's a look at the cold front that's going to come sweeping through. We have the potential for a few light showers this morning, and then later this afternoon and evening, we're going to see some waves of storms that come across the area, which could be severe. Here's what's happening right now. We have some showers and storms from Greensboro stretching back towards Statesville and Kannapolis. That has had some thunderstorms along with it. It is likely to fizzle out before it moves into our area. We watched a tiny little shower there in Moore County. That one's pretty much fizzled out. But let's go down here to Cumberland County. We've had this little one just hold together. It's tiny little cell from Hope Mills up toward Fayetteville, and it's starting to weaken just a little bit as it moves over towards Sampson County. No lightning necessarily with that, but some very brief heavy rain with that coming down. Speaking of heavy rain, we did have a pocket here in parts of Harnett and Johnston counties where we had as much as 3.5 inches, at least that was radar estimate. Officially at RDU, we had almost 1.5 inches out of this yesterday. Of course, it made for a very messy evening commute, but it also helped the situation. You know, it was very dry for us in April. So in May so far, we've seen about 1.5 inches above normal rainfall, which is wonderful. And that puts us closer to being at normal for the year, just about 1/2 inch from normal. So all that rain that we've seen so far this month has been very helpful. A few isolated showers this morning. That's lunchtime. Starting at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we'll have some cells that start to develop across the area. That continues all the way through midnight or so, and that's when we'd have the best chance of seeing some severe storms. We'll check out what's happening. We did have a little bit of light rain there in Fayetteville. You can see it's damp in front of our newsroom. Chapel Hill, cloudy, still foggy in Apex, and some low clouds in Goldsboro as well. Our weekend for Friday and Saturday, even Sunday, will likely be dry during the day Friday with some overnight showers and storms, rain and thunderstorms as we get through the day on Saturday, and then just a small chance late in the day on Sunday. Let's talk about temperatures to go along with that. Should be nice and mild, 79 on Saturday and 80 degrees on Sunday. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more about our rainfall totals for that whole time period. Ken?
Elizabeth, at 8:14, traffic has definitely picked up in the 8 o'clock hour here on Fox 50. We got reports just now in of this serious crash on US 401 on Wilmington Street in the northbound lane near Tryon Road. You can see it's causing quite a bit of backup in that area. So you want to keep that in mind if this is part of your morning commute as well. Another crash has just happened in just the last couple of minutes as well. This one on Lake Boone Trail in the westbound lane and Blue Ridge Road, not causing any major delays in that area, but just watch for some police activity in that area as well. And this crash on Millbrook Road and eastbound lane near Six Forks Road, you can see it's causing a bit of brake tapping going on right there on Six Forks Road, but just keep that in mind if you're about to head out and you're heading in that direction as well. You know, traffic is always picking up in the southbound south side of the Beltline this morning. This is a live look at I-440 and I-40 and Ridge Road right now. You can see the westbound lane coming towards us really picked up this morning. As always, if you're getting ready to head out, you can listen to us on WRAL News Plus on 99.3 FM in Raleigh and 96.5 FM in Durham.
All right, thank you, Ken. Brazil's president plans to visit the flood-ravaged southern part of the country today. Streets are full of water, and a major river in the area is once again approaching record levels. Severe flooding has left at least 149 people dead in recent weeks. Brazil's government plans to announce new recovery measures for that area today. At least 112 people remain missing in the flooding.
A driver is facing 8 counts of manslaughter in Florida, and that's because of a deadly bus crash. Authorities say a pickup truck veered toward the center of the road and caused the bus to go off the road. The bus was carrying dozens of migrant workers, and 8 of them died. More than 40 more were hurt when the bus hit a tree and overturned. The truck's driver, Brian Howard, who you see here on your screen, he's charged with DUI manslaughter. Florida authorities say that he has a lengthy criminal history.
Less than a week after 2 public sculptures featuring a live stream between Dublin, Ireland and New York City debuted, it's been temporarily shut down because of inappropriate behavior. The installations, called The Portals, features a 24-hour live stream between the 2 cities. Recent social media videos have shown people flashing body parts to tourists in other cities, and the Dublin City Council says they're working to find solutions.
The mothers of former Miss USA and former Miss Teen USA are speaking up for their daughters. This comes days after the 2 resigned their positions. Their mothers say the girls can't talk about this because of the non-disclosure agreements they signed. Noelia Voigt's mother said her daughter was approached by a man who asked her if she was, quote, into old men with money, end quote. Miss Teen USA's mother says that both women were, quote, ill-treated, abused, bullied, and cornered.
TikTok users are suing the U.S. government. 8 content creators filed a lawsuit against a federal law that could ban TikTok if its Chinese-based owner does not sell it within a year. The creators claim that the law violates the First Amendment and would prevent them from creating, sharing, and viewing content. Their suit calls the law unconstitutionally overboard and could inflict immediate harm. TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, filed a similar suit last week.
Boeing may now be subject to criminal prosecution related to the 737 MAX jet crashes that killed more than 300 people. The Department of Justice accuses Boeing of violating an agreement that was protecting it from criminal charges. The DOJ says Boeing failed to make promised changes to detect and prevent violation of U.S. fraud laws. Boeing could now be prosecuted on charges related to a 2018 jet crash in Indonesia and a 2019 crash in Ethiopia.
The FAA is still short more than 3,000 air traffic controllers. They hope to have the positions filled in the next few months for the busy travel season. Right now, the FAA has more than 11,000 employees who are either fully certified or able to work independently. Experts say they need nearly 15,000 controllers, and the hope is to hire 1,800 more by September.
The interest rates on new federal student loans is expected to hit a 12-year high. For the 2024-25 academic year, interest rates for undergraduate student loans will rise above 6.5%. It is the highest interest rate since 2012. Graduate student loans will also see a 1% increase. The Biden administration has yet to announce any plans to potentially reduce or freeze the current interest rate percentage. And a new report shows just how expensive childcare is across the country. According to Child Care Aware of America, placing 2 children in daycare costs at least a quarter more than the average rent. In some states and Washington, D.C., it could cost nearly double. Childcare costs also exceeded typical mortgage payments in 45 states and Washington, D.C. Nationwide, the average annual costs of childcare rose to nearly $12,000 per child last year.
With a little more than a month away until the official first day of summer, health and safety experts recommend using that time to address serious safety concerns around bodies of water. This as a new report finds drowning deaths are up. Sean Langiel takes a closer look at the data and how a unique program is helping to save lives.
With the weather warming up, it's not going to be long until pools, ponds, and oceans are filled with swimmers looking to take a cool dip. But a new report from the CDC reveals drowning deaths are on the rise. From 2020 to 2022, more than 4,500 people drowned each year. That's 500 more per year compared to 2019. Groups who already face elevated risks experience the sharpest increases in drowning deaths. Those include kids ages 1 through 4, people of all races who are 65 and older, and black people of all ages. Before summer hits, the report says swimming lessons can save lives, especially when about 40 million adults do not know how to swim. Meanwhile, researchers at The Ohio State University are using a unique approach to prevent drowning among kids on the autism spectrum.
Drowning is the #1 cause of unintentional death for children on the autism spectrum, up through age 14.
Participants in the program are paired with a personalized swim buddy. The class is then led by an aquatic occupational therapist who covers swimming safety.
Our sessions are between 45 and 50 minutes long for 10 weeks. Everyone makes significant gains in either tolerating the water on their face, learning to hold their breath and go under, being able to tolerate different floating positions.
While not all of the kids learn to swim in the 10 weeks, researchers say the progress they do make helps give families peace of mind.
Decrease stress in taking their children out to community programs, community pools, vacations.
That was Sean Langiel reporting.
Caitlin Clark made her much-anticipated WNBA regular season debut last night, but she kind of had some struggles here and there. Clark found herself in foul trouble early and spent much of the first half on the bench. She also had 10 turnovers. That's the most in Fever history and the most for a career debut. She ended up scoring 20 points in her first career game, though, but it wasn't enough for the Fever to secure a win. They lost 92-71, and Clark says obviously she's disappointed.
Thought it was physical. I don't know. Obviously, it wasn't like the best start in the first half for myself. Getting into foul trouble, and then you got to sit on the bench and try to come back into the game and get into a little bit of a flow. But obviously, too many turnovers. That's not going to get the job done. But I think just a lot of things to learn from.
It's her first professional game. Yes, she had some hiccups, but again, she led her team in scoring. Keep that in mind. Now, she says yes. No one likes to lose, but you can't beat yourself up too much about one game. You just have to learn and move on. The next game is their home opener Thursday night.
Well, tonight we'll learn where and when the Carolina Panthers will be playing their 2024 games. The NFL will release the full schedule for the coming season at 8 o'clock tonight. The Panthers will have 9 home games, but only 8 will be at Bank of America Stadium. They'll also be the home team for a game in Munich, Germany. How cool is that?
We are just shy of an hour away from roughly about 7 minutes from the Consumer Price Index report release. What that means for you and the expectations from experts about what it could mean for inflation.
Plus, the dust has settled and the results are in. We're catching you up on the results of 3 Republican runoff races from last night.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio in Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning and happy Wednesday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey. It is a WRAL weather alert day. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner shows us who's under that level 2 risk for today and what we can expect.
This is new this morning. Last night, yesterday, it was a level 1 risk, but now that level 2 risk stretches from the Triangle area southward. This is where we could see some isolated tornadoes and certainly some wind damage. Yesterday, we ended up with some tornado warnings down in our southern counties. Fortunately, we didn't have any tornado damage. We did have some straight line wind damage. We'll check that out coming up. A little bit of rain pushing just to our west toward us. Most of that's going to fizzle out. We have had a couple of isolated showers. One of those was just moving over Fayetteville, and it's dissipating pretty quickly. Our best chance for the stronger thunderstorms will be mid-afternoon up until around midnight or so. And then just this morning, a few isolated showers in our forecast. We take a live look at Sanford. We're stuck under some low cloud cover right now. Still a quarter of a mile visibility in the Triangle area. It'll be a mild afternoon. The highs will climb into the upper 70s. Ken?
All right, Elizabeth, the crashes that you see here on our traffic map really just on local roads, not on any of the major roadways to affect your morning commute. What we are seeing on those major thoroughfares are the usual morning congestion that we see this time of the morning. You see in the north side of the Beltline there around Six Forks Road, Wake Forest Road, Glenwood Avenue. That's the congestion that you're seeing this morning. This is on the south side of the Beltline as well around Lake Wheeler Road. And to that end, I'm going to give you a live look now at Lake Wheeler and I-40 westbound. You can see the westbound lanes moving away from us and moving very slowly this morning.
All right, thank you, Ken. A person is in custody after a chase that ended in a crash. The chase ended when the car overturned on Rock Quarry Road about 2 o'clock this morning. Garner police say the driver took off when an officer tried to make a stop. The Wake County Sheriff's Office later picked up the chase. We'll have more news and weather over on Fox 50.
New this morning, we have a level 2 risk for severe storms across our southern counties. I'll show you what time the strong storms will arrive and what you could see where you are.
Any moment now, we'll get an update on an inflation report giving us an idea of how the economy is doing, looking at several factors, including how much you pay for gas.
Plus, a person is in custody after leading police on a chase overnight. What officers say happened before the driver sped off and crashed their car.
Yeah, that story and more that we're covering this morning on this WRAL Weather Alert Day. We'll go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us. I'm Chris Lovington.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Yeah, we got to get right to weather. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner tracking where the storms are now and what we can expect throughout the day. A lot of us under that level 2 threat.
We take a look at what's happening right now. Dual Doppler 5000 radar. Some showers and thunderstorms from Greensboro stretched back down the I-84-5 corridor towards Charlotte. That may hold up and move into just some of our western counties. Most of that is going to fizzle out before it reaches us. But we've had a couple little showers try to pop up. One of those up around Carthage and Southern Pines. This one right across Fayetteville. It was just a tiny little shower rolling through. But once we start to see some of these popping up, we'll likely see more of them. So a few isolated showers showers this morning, but once we get to mid to late afternoon, that's when we'll have our severe weather threat, especially from the Triangle area southward. Damaging winds, isolated tornadoes are a possibility. Once we get past midnight, we should dry out, and it looks like it's going to be a pretty nice day tomorrow. Here's what's happening. We have a warm front to our south and west. That's where some of these showers and storms are developing. Now, that warm front is going to lift northward, and once it lifts northward, it pushes us into a more unstable air mass, and once the cold front comes in behind it, that's when we'll have a better chance of some severe storms. So that's why we have that level 2 risk now across the southern part of our viewing area. We take a look at Futurecast, and you can see here's that rain that's to our west right now. Most of that fizzles out, but there might be an isolated shower. Starting around 3 or 4, we begin to get into that potential for some scattered storms. This version of Futurecast showing some thunderstorms on through the evening and up until around midnight or so. So again, we're going to kick things off mid-afternoon and continue to see that chance of some scattered storms through the afternoon. This is a look at our tall tower camera, really socked in at this point, 62 degrees, our temperature right now. We should climb into the upper 70s for highs this afternoon. Ken?
Elizabeth, this just into the WRAL Traffic Center. We're just getting reports of Raleigh police working a crash in the westbound lanes of I-540. You can see the slowdown that's causing there this morning. Definitely keep that in mind if you're heading in that direction. We're working on an alternate route for you. Give me about 10 minutes on Fox 15 and we'll update you on if we can find an alternate route to 540 this morning. We're following this crash right now near the downtown area on Wilmington Street. You can see the major backup it's causing right there. Just make sure you go through that area slowly and give officers an opportunity to work that crash scene safely. There's another crash that we've been monitoring here in Lake Boone Trail in the westbound lane at Blue Ridge Road, not causing any delays this morning in that intersection, but just watch for that police activity as well. That crash that we've been telling you about right there on East Millbrook Road and Six Forks Road has cleared, but you can see there's some lingering delays right there on Six Forks Road, so be aware of that this morning.
All right, thank you, Ken. And this morning, a person is in custody after a chase that ended in a crash. That chase ended when the car overturned on Rock Quarry Road. Nick Perlin was there on the WRAL Breaking News Tracker talking with police about how it started.
A police chase ended in this car you see right here behind me flipping over on the side of Rock Quarry Road near Ruby Drive in Raleigh. This happened at around 2 this morning. I do want to show you this video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. You're going to see this car overturned and badly damaged. This started in Garner, and I'm told by Garner police they chased this car because of a traffic violation. They ended their chase, and then the Wake County Sheriff's Office continued it. At some point, the driver drove off the road. Only one car was involved in this crash. Police tell me one person was also taken into custody. I'm still trying to learn if anybody was hurt in this crash. In Raleigh, Nick Perlin, WRAL News.
And today's rains follow heavy rain that caused water runoff in wet roads across the Triangle. And this did play a factor in many crashes throughout the afternoon. That includes a crash on US 64 that brought traffic to a stop at Walnut Street. A crash on I-85 left a car on its side. The driver was okay, we've been told. The crash caused a backup on Wade Avenue, and a driver shared this photo of a crash in Holly Springs. Today, you might have a chance at getting a job with the Wake County Sheriff's Office. It's hosting a career fair as it tries to address vacancies. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is outside the Wake County Detention Center this morning. And Kelsey, the Sheriff's Office has dozens of positions needed.
Chris, there are dozens of positions and the career fair is now underway. So we're actually inside of the detention center right now. So you can see staff is here waiting for people to come in for interviews. The Sheriff's Office is looking to fill more than 80 positions. They need 78 detention officers and 13 registered nurses. Sheriff Willie Rowe says they assess their staffing levels every 90 days. He says right now, current staff is working overtime to meet demand.
Well, this time we're offering bonuses. We've increased compensation in the form of salaries, and there's referral bonuses for people who refer people to us as well.
The Sheriff's Office is offering $5,000 signing bonuses and $1,000 referral bonuses for both of these positions. So again, that career fair is underway right now, but it will end at 3 o'clock. So if you come out, be sure to bring your photo ID and your resume. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
The general election matchups for some key races in North Carolina are set. The Republican candidates for lieutenant governor, auditor, and the 13th congressional district were decided in yesterday's runoff elections. Brad Knott secured the nomination in the 13th congressional district. He earned more than 90% of the vote over Kelly Daughtry, who withdrew from the race before the vote. Knott will square off with Democratic candidate Frank Pierce in the November election.
In the auditor race, Dave Bullock won the Republican nomination. He beat his opponent Jack Clark with a little more than 53% of the vote. Bullock will face Democratic candidate Jessica Holmes in the general election in November. And Hal Weatherman earned the Republican nomination for lieutenant governor. He got nearly 3/4 of the vote in his runoff against Jim O'Neill. Weatherman will face Democratic nominee Rachel Hunt in November's election.
This morning, we'll learn more about where inflation stands and the effect it's having on things that you buy every single day. WRAL's Laura Levine is in Cary this morning, and Laura's experts say that inflation is still not cooling off as much as they'd like to see.
Hey, Michelle, good morning. Yes, that economic report is coming out any minute now. I'm continuing to check to see the latest numbers, but we know experts and economists are predicting that inflation will remain stubbornly above what they really were hoping for at this time. And a lot of that has to do with high gas prices that we continue to see, as well as the increased pressure of prices of services. So while goods inflation has returned to pre-pandemic levels, services inflation has remained high. The April inflation report is forecast to show about a 0.4% increase from the month before, the same reading that we had in March. So economist, Mike Walden, he says the slow progress against inflation and the still robust jobs market reflect how Fed rate hikes have been slow to filter through to the economy.
That's why mortgage rates have gone up, credit card rates have gone up. That was all designed to slow down consumer spending. Which has not slowed down a lot. That's been one of the factors behind the stall, if you will, in reducing inflation.
And we are just getting word that that report has just been released. We'll send things over to the Live Center with a breakdown of the new data.
Yeah, Laura, thanks for that. Jeff Hogan in the WRAL Live Center. Brand new numbers just in. And I'm going to give you a look at stock futures and see where they're moving right now while I pick through some of the numbers. Very much in line with what Laura just explained there. These numbers are coming in just a touch lighter. I'm talking about a point percentage. The consumer price index for folks increased 0.3%. It was expected to be 0.4%, so just a little bit lighter than what was expected. Actually, also what rose 3.4% over the last 12 months. The consumer price index, that is right in line with what it was expected to come out. So that 0.3%, the big number there coming in for the CPI, just a little bit lighter. It was 0.4% last month. So the index for all the items minus food and energy in this tally increased 0.3% in April. So that puts it up 3.6% over the past year. But all in all, as you look, the stock market is relatively unfazed by this. It has jumped in just the last couple of minutes. As I take a look now live at the Dow Jones, the implied open there has jumped about 100 points in just the last few minutes with that new report coming in just a little bit lighter. But we'll keep track and see what the market is in focus to do, but very much in line with what the experts expected.
And we'll check in with Mike Walden to get his take on this. All right, thanks, Jeff. A lot of excitement for the WNBA season opener. A sold-out crowd was in Connecticut to see Caitlin Clark's debut with the Indiana Fever. Clark led her team in scoring with 20 points, and that was her first career basket you just saw in the second quarter of the game, right there. Clark had some struggles in her pro debut, though. She turned the ball over 10 times. The Fever lost to the Connecticut Sun 92-71, and she'll play her first home game tomorrow night against the New York Liberty.
Today, the Carolina Hurricanes will practice at PNC Arena. They're getting ready for an important Game 6 of their series with the New York Rangers tomorrow night. If they can win that game, they'll force a deciding Game 7 on Saturday. That'll be at Madison Square Garden. Tomorrow night's game starts at 7 o'clock. And after the game, be sure to tune into our exclusive post-game show on WRAL at 11:25. We'll have locker room reaction, comments from Coach Rod Brindamore, and analysis from former Canes player Shane Willis in studio.
It's time to grab your pink suits. Elle Woods is back. The new series headed to Amazon Prime that shows the start of America's favorite lawyer.
Plus, another image of the royal family is turning heads, what many people are saying about King Charles's official portrait.
Getting you a live look outside right now at Lake Gaston. Look, we told you it's a WRAL weather alert day, and this just illustrates exactly what's going on in our area right now. We've got Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center tracking still what's coming our way.
So right now, there are some showers and thunderstorms that are just to our west across the Triad, stretching down towards Charlotte. Most of that is likely to dissipate as it moves into our area. None of that is severe. We had a few isolated showers down south. Now, that will continue all the way until lunchtime. Mid to late afternoon is when we'll have enough energy in the atmosphere for some of those to become severe. Zip down to the south. This was a quick little shower that rolled right over Fayetteville just a little while ago, and you can see that it is dissipating right now. So nothing too concerning this morning. Once we get into middle of the afternoon up to midnight, that's when we'll have the best chance of severe storms. Damaging winds and hail would be possible, and an isolated tornado. If you remember, last evening in our southern counties, we did have some tornado warnings. We did end up with some straight line wind damage, but no tornado damage reported yet, and so that's definitely good news. Level 1 risk in the north, level 2 risk in our southern counties, including the Triangle area. So it ends up being most of the viewing area. So it is a WRAL weather alert day. Here's what's happening. We have a warm front that's lifting northward, and that's helping to produce some of those showers and storms back to the west. That may bring a shower or two across our area up through early afternoon. As it moves by, it's going to transport much more unstable air mass into our region. What that means is that the conditions would be right, or at least better, for some of those showers and storms to develop and possibly become severe, especially when the cold front crosses the area later on. Storm reports from yesterday. Down here you can see the gray circles. That's where we ended up with some straight line wind damage. Those are the same areas where we saw some of those tornado warnings yesterday. It was a lot of rain yesterday, too. We had a streak of really heavy rain from parts of Harnett into Johnston counties, as much as 3 to 3.5 inches indicated on radar. But this is where some of the sites showed up with as much as 1.5 inches of rain in Rocky Mount, over 2 inches in South Hill, about 1 inch down into Southern Pines. So it was a good soaking for us yesterday. Some more specific numbers: Hillsborough at about 2.5, Pittsboro and Fuquay-Varina about 2.25, and Rocky Mount and Fort Liberty at around 1.5 inches or more. So we needed that rain. It was good to see. This morning, a few isolated showers to our west, moving in again, just a sprinkle or two. Once we get into the mid to late afternoon, we start to see some of these cells developing that could be severe. That's 9, 10 o'clock this evening, and that should be ending around midnight. Fayetteville looking gray. We're seeing gray skies all across the viewing area this morning. Temperatures are in the low 60s, but may climb into the upper 70s if we get a few breaks in the clouds early afternoon. Our temperatures are feeling really pleasant, upper 70s to low 80s all the way through the weekend. Part of the reason is because we're going to be cloudy and wet. Some scattered showers and storms Saturday and Sunday.
Many students are gearing up for the end of grade testing period. These tests can be stressful for students. WRAL Lifestyle editor Kathy Hanrahan has some tips for parents to help prepare their children. So Kathy, let's say someone moved here. They don't know what the end of grade tests are. Explain.
Okay, so you're going to hear this term a lot. They're also called the EOGs. Students start taking them in 3rd grade. They're a standardized multiple choice test. So you've got the English Language Arts, or ELA, math, and science. Now, students in 3rd grade through 8th grade all take the EOGs in math and ELA. Now, 5th grade and 8th graders, they also take a science EOG. Now, the tests are going to focus on material they've taught throughout the year. So it's a lot of stuff.
It is a lot of stuff. So how can parents prepare their students for this a lot of stuff?
Well, we spoke with Suzanne Wood of Raleigh Tutoring to find out the best tips for parents. And she said that teachers typically don't recommend students spend extra time studying for the EOGs. Now, during class, many teachers review topics and share strategies for taking the multiple choice test. She also said the best thing you can do is make sure your child is rested, has a good breakfast, and they're on time for school on that day. She said to remind them to do their best, answer all the questions, don't leave anything blank. Even if you're not sure, at least fill in the bubble.
It's always good to know what kind of tester your child is, too. So this is a question that comes up a lot. Can a student fail the EOGs?
Now, the EOGs are primarily used to measure performance for the schools and the school districts to see kind of the curriculum. Students are graded on a 4-point scale. Now, students scoring a 3 means they're proficient. Students who don't receive a proficient score, they aren't automatically held back. Now, students are allowed to test again, and even if they don't pass or if they don't take the EOG again, it doesn't mean they're automatically held back in that grade. They can still advance if the school's principal takes into account the student's academic grades, classroom performance, and other factors. So it's not just one test and then you're held back.
No, it's a measurement of how they've been doing during the school year, something very important, obviously, post-pandemic. Some helpful advice. So if you want some information more on this and your child's EOGs, just go to WRAL.com and search the keyword family.
Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month means a lot to our Teacher of the Week. WRAL's Ken Smith introduces us to a teacher from the Philippines making a difference at J.F. Webb High School in Granville County.
You will see in macro view, this place is flooded by.
In just his first year in the Granville County School District and at J.F. Webb High, Ryan Silva is a bright star among his students. He had an early start as an educator.
When I was at high school, I always found myself teaching my other classmates, and until it becomes a hobby. And then this is what I'm now. I am a teacher now.
Silva is among a core of international teachers in the Granville County School District.
I'm not talking about all the facilities and stuff.
He teaches earth and environmental science at J.F. Webb and is known for treating his students with respect and kindness.
It's fulfilling for every day. Like every time I go home, I feel like, okay, I did my job for today. These are the things that I need to work on and starts a new day tomorrow.
Silva says Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month gives him a chance to share his culture with his students.
It's 12-hour travel. So they get the idea of, oh, this is what we expect from the Philippines. This is what we can visit from the Philippines. And I'm very happy with that.
Mr. Silva, you are WRAL's Teacher of the Week. How about a round of applause for Mr. Silva? Ken Smith, WRAL News.
And if you'd like to nominate a teacher, go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
Last night was a sad one for local fans of The Voice. Goldsboro's own Tay Lewis did not make it to the finals. He did, though, sing for the instant save, but did not make it through. Lewis was on Team Dan and Shay. Another North Carolina native, Josh Sanders from Kannapolis, will be competing in the finals next week. And you can watch that on WRAL Monday night at 8 p.m. Jeopardy is getting a spin-off. Amazon Prime announced Pop Culture Jeopardy. It'll be coming to its platform. The format is a little different from its longtime predecessor. Contestants will compete in teams of 3 and answer questions centered around music, movies, TV, and more. A premiere date, though, has not been announced.
It's time to practice your bend and snap. Legally Blonde is back. In a video posted to Instagram, Reese Witherspoon announced the return of her beloved character, Elle Woods, in a new Amazon Prime prequel series. It'll follow Elle as she navigates high school in the 90s. No word on who will star in the series. It's expected to be released next year. A third Legally Blonde film is reportedly still in the works.
I will be there to watch it.
Me too.
I love those movies. They're great. All right, so it's been nearly 2 years since the first season of House of the Dragon, but fans won't have to wait much longer for more. Max released the trailer for the second season of its Game of Thrones prequel. The show hits the streaming service on June 16th, and that character right there on screen, she is about to commit a lot of war crimes after that season finale.
Well, the first official portrait of King Charles since his coronation is drawing a mixed reaction. This is it. The king unveiled the portrait yesterday. It depicts him in a military uniform against a fiery red background. Now, there's a butterfly hovering over his shoulder. And while some are praising the portrait, others have some different views. The top comment on the royal family's Instagram post reads, "It looks like he's bathing in blood." Oh, boy.
So, and people are, it's the internet, right? They're going to say what they're going to say.
Yeah.
It was a choice. I'll say that. That painting was a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a strong color. Red's a strong color.
It's a very strong color.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'll say that. How about that? All right, Pizza Hut officially entering the burger business.
Oh, the pizza chain introduced its newest menu item, the cheeseburger melt.
What?
It has a thin Parmesan crust and all the burger fixins stuffed inside. Pizza Hut added QR codes to the back of the delivery drivers' cars and sent them through fast food drive-thrus to get customers to order. So you have Taco Bell making the pizzas, and then now Pizza Hut making burgers. Oh, it's weird.
I'll try it.
You'll
for
try
sure.
it?
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what? I would give it a go one time.
I'd give it a go. Yeah, at least try it.
One time.
It's pizza, so.
All right. Before we go to break, we'll give you a quick look at the winning lottery numbers, and we'll get you another check on weather and traffic. That's coming up in just a bit.